What's up guys, Invincible Jiu-Jitsu, Shero with the guns. We're going to do principles of the D'Arce choke / Brabo choke, whatever you know it as. My luta livre instructor, Milton Vieira, Miltinho, big originator of the Anaconda and D'Arce choke, so I've got a little bit of a background in this. But again, these are my thoughts. D'Arce choke, you know, it's quite divisive, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how some other people do things and how I like to do things. And I'll try and explain why I think my way is the way. But like anything, we can do things in a lot of different ways and a lot of ways that work. We're going to see. So, basic principles of my D'Arce choke. If you point your head this way, yeah, that'll do that. So, basic principles of a D'Arce choke. I'm going to call it D'Arce. I tend to call it Brabo, but I know a lot of you guys are watching are going to probably call it D'Arce. I want my hands to be connected on the neck side. Okay, if I connect them on the other side, we're talking Anaconda and Anaconda variations. So my D'Arce is going to connect on this side. Okay, now let's say I get to here, I use my vice grip to turn him over here, I reach through and I connect. Okay, this can be my basic D'Arce position. Okay, what I want is him on his side and me to be flat. So I want to be something like this. Okay, that's going to allow me, like all of my triangle variations, my arm triangle variations, it's shoulder into neck and then my arm closing the other side of his neck. Okay, so his own shoulder is going to block one side and I'm going to block the other. Okay, from here, triangling as deep as possible. We're going to talk about grips, we're going to talk about positioning, and then a good squeeze is going to give me a finish. Okay, come back. Now, as everything in Jiu-Jitsu, when we get really good at things, we start thinking in 3 dimensions. Okay, so if I know that I want to be in that position, okay, but Shero starts here, I know I have to move him. Okay, and that's what I just did. I tipped him over to put him on his side so that I could crush down. But also, I recognize that I don't need to move him because I can move me. So one thing I might do from this position, instead of tipping Shero, is shoot through myself and finish my D'Arce choke from the side. Okay? So either way that we do it, the mechanicals, the mechanics and the principles are going to be the same. Okay? The mechanicals, that's what we're going to call them. So I tip him onto his side, say, to begin with. Alright? I like to use a gable grip or a chain grip and a vice on his neck. As I duck his head, I use my shoulder and my bicep, boom, to bump him over. Okay? I don't want him to fall to his back, so I'm going to let him come back to his side if he goes too far. I block the head, punch through, deep, connect and connect. Okay? And there's a lot going on here. Turn, 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 turn. Good. So, when I get into this position, after having turned over, there's a school of thought that, like other chokes, we can use the sharp part of my forearm to choke, okay? And it's gonna work, yeah? If I lock off now and I squeeze, I will choke people, okay? But for me, I think the better choke and the easier choke comes when I go deep with my arm, all right? This one's a lot more painful because I'm kind of grinding his neck, look, yeah, with my forearm, okay, with my sharp part. But if I can block or block or block and punch through, I find that now I have a much cleaner choke and I also have a much more mechanically locked in choke. Because watch this hand. Now this hand can actually hold the back of my tricep, completely removing my wrist joint from the choke. Here, sometimes what you'll find is your fingers will be involved even, and you'll be cranking your own fingers, you'll be cranking your own wrist. Sometimes it hurts you more than it hurts him to finish these chokes, especially if the guy is incredibly broad, okay? So by pushing through and going deep, I take this out of the equation. Now, all I'm doing is pushing up on my forearm, which is not a joint, okay? It's not gonna flex, it's not gonna take any of my pressure away. Now, the way that I get that is by dipping my shoulder into his armpit. Now, I have already very long arms. I could lock and finish on most people. If you're struggling to get through deep, watch this left shoulder here. It's going to drop and I'm going to throw an uppercut, okay? But the way Shiro is going to defend his chokes is by keeping his head up and back, which makes this a much longer distance. So after my turnover, for example, I then block the back of his head, either with my hand, with my forearm, with my tricep, okay? And you can play with all of those. Tricep is probably one of the strongest variations, all right? And then lock, sometimes you pull and lock. I don't mind, yeah, you can try all of them. But it's the shoulder dip and the uppercut going deep that's going to allow this deep grip. And then don't leave this hand down here. The higher I get this hand, the more it's going to raise this arm and add to my choking power. So usually what I try and do is put this back under my chin and then just stick my chin on it, okay? From here, a very little squeeze should put Shiro to sleep very quickly, okay? Now, if we completely turn, point your head this way. One of the things that I want to do with this elbow is stop this elbow going down here. And now this is where we might get a little bit controversial and a little bit different to what you may have seen in some other instructionals, you may have seen from some other people. Some other people, a lot of other people, teach sprawling in this position, okay? And there's a number of reasons why I don't sprawl, okay? I don't like to finish with a sprawl when I'm on top and in my D'Arce choke. Controlling this arm is one of them, and also controlling his ability to come back to his knees is one of them, okay? So let's say I've turned him over and I've got to a position kind of like this. I don't like to stay parallel to him here, okay? I would rather come back and into this position, okay? I like to put my knee very close to him and have the arm that's inside the D'Arce be inside my legs, okay? I'm going to apply some pressure with my chest, and my knees very often will be hovering off the ground, okay? If he's not moving, yes, you can put them on the ground. But if he's trying to come back to his knees, I'm just going to raise and I'm going to drive into him a little bit, okay? So if you just turn just ever so slightly, stop. If I get my choke, I'm here, you see, I just bring my knees up, he tries to turn to his knees, and I have enough pressure keeping him on his side where I want to get my good finish, okay? If this arm can drift to the side, or if he can get to his knees, come to your knees, he can start messing with my D'Arce choke. Now, if you have long arms, you have a very, very strong grip, you may still finish, but he's creating scrambles and he's creating opportunities to separate his shoulder from his neck, okay? A lot of this is going to be separating the shoulder from the neck. Things he can do on the side when he gets this arm outside my legs are he can hold around his own leg, like make a grip around your own leg to separate here. So he'll stretch that away to separate his shoulder from his neck, okay? That's really annoying. He can also start getting really high underhooks with a very high elbow, which is going to put a lot of pressure on my D'Arce choke. Right now, I can't even connect my D'Arce, okay? So if my D'Arce was already connected, it may put pressure on it such that I can't squeeze and such that I can't finish, okay? He could also grab around my leg and start coming up onto single legs, okay? Again, if I've got long arms and a really good squeeze, some of this won't matter, but it's not ideal, okay? Again, playing the averages, ideal for me is to turn him onto his side, me finish on top, and keep on top. Because if I lose everything, I lose the submission, I still have top position, and I still have side control. If he comes up, or if I give up position to try and finish, then if I lose it, well, I also lost position. So in the grand scheme of things, playing the averages, finishing on top is best, okay? So what I want to avoid is finishing off over here, where he can get high underhooks, yeah, or he can grab my leg and start putting me back on my back. Oh no. Okay. Maybe I finished, but now he's passed into side control. It's a tough ask. Okay. And that's going to come into play also when we look at finishing the D'Arce from the other point of view, where I don't move him, I move me. All right. So we come back to your knees now. So now from here, instead of moving Shiro, I move me. Right? Now, there's a couple ways we can do this as well, depending on the length of your arms. You could lock up in the fall, or you could lock up and then fall. Obviously, locking up first requires longer arms, right? But by controlling the head, falling nice and close to the elbow, so that the elbow doesn't come free. Again, we want to keep the elbow involved. I'm able to then lock up here. And again, look, I have my angle, I'm facing his shoulder, and then a good squeeze from there is going to see me finish my choke. What I want to avoid is as I fall being loose and the head popping out, yeah? Or more commonly is as we fall, this elbow coming across my belly. Because now even if I lock up, I have no choke. Okay? So, whether you lock here and then fall, okay? I keep my belly nice and close to him. Generally I tend to hip in and hip up so that he can't bring his elbow across. Or if I lock up in the fall, it's the same thing. And now my belly, my ribs, connect to Shiro's head and closes this gap that's going to allow this, okay? So, those sort of principles are the kind of things that I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for those angles. I'm looking to control his ability to change my angle to a less ideal one. And I'm looking to control the arm that's inside my D'Arce, okay? And this is true from any position, whether we're doing D'Arce from top half guard, you know, where it became common at the beginning. Doesn't matter, the principles are all going to be the same, okay? From here, we've gone in our Luta Libre classes that we're doing right now, from Turtle, we've gone into a whole series of other things, branching off from the D'Arce, coming back to the Anaconda, coming into Anaconda, arm in guillotine style variations, coming into Peruvian necktie variations here and things. And if you want to see videos on any of those and the principles behind those, please leave me a comment down below. Yeah, I like getting the comments. I like to see what you guys want to see. Okay? So, if you have any questions on this video, any questions, leave them down below. Anything you want to see, leave it down below. If you like the video, give it a like. If you don't like it, hit thumbs down twice. Thanks, Sharon.